checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and I heard you know so-and-so, you not a threat, cause I really know so-and-so, they like my family, so they go pretend that they cool till they bust at your motherfucking chest. I'm getting gutter, my flow been like butter, my check in the bank, they see the number. All of my haters feel one of two ways, really upset or they show some respect. I can't even think about it, I've been up, so read about it, no beat around it, straight to it, no ring around it. You coming for me, we'll see about it, we'll never see it when I kick my feet up. 100 meters where I run the fee up, and go from chinging on a manapia. I had to re-up on a reel, so you stay defeated, and put it back into the bit, cause I don't really need it. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I had to put all their egos in check. You're not entitled to anything else. I get 10 years of this under my belt. Your art isn't art, they don't feel it, and nobody hears it. Initiative stay on the shelf. Your ego done got in the way. It gotta die today. It gotta go. You should be happy I lighten the load. The weight of your arrogance, heavy as stone. I make an appearance, they already know. That chip on your shoulder gon' crumble and fold, yeah. It's not a secret that you have been fearing the shit that I'm on. So you back to the brag and the boast. But I'm in a class of my own. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check.
Whoa, what is good, everybody? Welcome back. This is Drone Brews Reloaded. It's a brand new season, 2025. It's taken me a little bit to get back to live streaming. I think this is the first live stream we've done in almost 2 months now. But we're back, and we're going to be back to doing a bi-weekly live stream here in 2025. So many familiar faces here in the chat. Very good to see all of you. I see we have Drone Shots. How's it going, Jody? We got Maddie's Drone World, Dover Drone. We have Northside Hawk. We have W Drones, Windwalker Jones, Chad Hammond. We have Beetle Bailey. I see Eric, was it Rife Snyder? I see Rudolph's in the chat. Alec Pops is in the chat. We've got Shutter Speed Ireland. Good to see you as always. We have Bob White in the chat. We have Eagle Eye. We got Brad Henderson. We got Bulldogs 2005. Moon Mullen. Booster FPV. Jaybird Ariel. Good to see you. I got to meet Jaybird earlier this year. So I would say late last year I got to meet Jaybird. Am I getting any snow? There is no snow here in Tampa. It is very, very cold, though. I will say it is probably the coldest. It's probably the coldest it has ever been here in the Tampa area, or pretty close. Right now, it is a 40 degrees, but we should see 38 tonight, maybe down lower. So where I'm at right now, we're at 40, but we're expecting colder temperatures. But up towards the Panhandle, they are. They're getting snow. It's actually, they got 6 or 7 inches, I think, up there, which is pretty wild. Eddie Nunez, I cannot wait. Maybe Eddie will make his triumphant return to live streaming in late 2025. We can only hope. Thank you for pausing eating pussy, Eddie, to participate in tonight's stream. Always such a blessing to have brother Eddie here in any capacity. So Vantage Point says, go to my channel. Yeah, I'll definitely, I'll check it out. Bob White says low of 26 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I'm not complaining. Trust me, I am not complaining about 40 degrees. It is cold here in the studio. One downside is we have a straight cool unit. I'm looking at the thermostat because it's right across from me over here. It says it's 69 degrees, which is an appropriate number for the studio. So there's no heat in the studio, but when I turn on the 3D printers, it can warm it up a little bit. Not a lot, but that's better than nothing, I suppose. So man, what a weird start to the year. So DJI released the DJI Flip, which is such a odd drone, and one that I did not see coming in 2025. I've struggled. I would be remiss to say that I have struggled to find use and purpose for that drone in my arsenal, in my lineup. I still find myself gravitating towards the DJI Air 3S and the DJI Air 3. I barely use my Mavic 3 anymore. That is something that's not being used at all. But man, that DJI Flip is just so bizarre. I wanted to say so much more in the review. I wanted to do a follow-up video to it because it is just such a weird product. Dover Drone Photographer says, how's business? Business is absolutely insane. It was an insane 2024, but 2025 has been off to an even crazier start. I think we're busier than we've been busy last year. Last year, actually, at this point, I think we sort of capped out with revenue. Granted, I was at CES last year, which I went to CES technically this year too. But I think this year is far busier so far. It's superseded last year as far as business and just how busy I have been to the start of the year, which is pretty incredible, which means that it should be a good year as a whole. If I gauge it by the first month, I would say it's going to be an awesome year. Straight out of the gate. I will say the 3D printing side of things has died out a little bit. The really only the only drones that DJI made this year that needed any sort of accessories was the DJI Avata 2 and the DJI Neo. That was really the only two drones that we built any accessories for. And the DJI Neo was very limited to what you can do anyways with because of its size. But 3D printing has tapered off just a little bit. I've actually gotten rid of some of the printers because I don't need that many. I had at one point, I think I had 11 printers. I don't need 11 printers here. I think I'm down to 5 or 6 printers, which is perfect for the print studio, which is good. It's 12 degrees here in New York and dropping to 6. Yeah, you can keep that. I'm not about that. I'm complaining at 38. That's frigid enough for me. Let's see. Yeah, the Flip is a weird spin on their product line. Flip is best drone ever for only people DJI knows about. Yeah, I mean, the Flip is a drone that is good for a beginner, somebody who, they have no intention on necessarily doing commercial work, because the one downside with the Flip is there's no remote ID. So for a professional, you really can't use it too much unless you attach a remote ID module to the exterior of it, and then you're going to be over 249 grams. So there's a lot of things. I think if they would have added remote ID into that drone, it would have made it a much more capable drone, and it would have made it much more accepted by industry professionals for things like flight over people. It would have been a class 1 drone, which would have been perfect. And I mean, honestly, I think that's a huge miss. I mean, if anything, they should have added remote ID and made it optional, whether it was on or off, if it was such a big ordeal, which I don't really see the big deal. Nothing good or bad has come out of remote ID like I think many people thought. So there's that. Oh, I got something in my eye over here. Gosh, it's crazy. This has been a weird year too, because it's the first year DJI has dropped geofencing on all of their aircrafts. There's no longer any geofencing. A lot of people ask me what my thoughts are of this and, how it will affect the industry and the hobby. And here's my honest thoughts on that. It's no different than Autel, Skydio, or any other manufacturer that did not include geofencing on their aircrafts. I think a lot of people forget, Autel hasn't had geofencing since their inception. Skydio didn't have geofencing on their aircraft. So if somebody was going to do something stupid, they were going to do something stupid well before DJI stopped geofencing, because it was there. The only downside is DJI has the largest market share, so it's in the hands of more people than anybody else. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It should have always been the pilot's responsibility and not the manufacturer's responsibility of geofencing. That's just my honest take on that. If you're a responsible pilot, you'll always be responsible. And if you're an irresponsible person, you'll always be irresponsible. And it should have never been It should have never been their decision straight from the jump, in my opinion. Carolina Aerial Visuals, tell us about your new gym routine. You've been killing it with your fitness, it appears. Yeah, so I actually decided it was like late, or it was early November. I decided I was going to change my diet, change my health regimen, and just try to lose some weight. And ever since then, it's been all downhill from there, so to speak. Just about to go with the 3S, but wasn't sure if I should hold off for a 4 Pro. I wish I could say one way or the other. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything. You know, my philosophy has always been, if you're going to wait, you're always going to be waiting. If you have a need for a new aircraft now, buy a new aircraft. But I would also caution you to the fact that they are very hard to buy. And some people, I still get at least 1 to 2 comments a day talking about how their drone is stuck in U.S. Customs. I cannot believe how many aircrafts got stuck by DHL in Customs, and I can't believe that that is a situation that is still occurring today. But if you order a DJI Air 3S, just know that, yeah, that is a potential. And if you read the comments on any one of those videos that I posted, that somebody does comment at least once a day that their drone is stuck in Customs. Now, some people have commented after 30 plus days, their drone was released. So that is good to hear that their drones are being released, but it does suck that you would have a 30-day hold on something you just spent $1,500, $1,600 on. That's just sort of crazy. What will the Mavic 4 need for you to begin flying it over the Mavic 3 Pro or Air 3S? You know, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say because the Mavic 3 Pro and the Air 3S are just such good drones. I mean, I couldn't even begin to fathom what they would need for me to make that switch. So I don't even want to guess. I'm, you know, whenever that does come, if it does come, I'm going to be excited to operate it, you know, if that is even a reality here in the United States. What would the Mavic 4 need for you to think, wow, this thing is worth buying? Yeah, I mean, just like Brad, you know, I answered Brad. I mean, it's tough to say. I try not to think too far ahead on products that, you know, haven't even been fully confirmed yet. I don't want to speculate on anything just because, you know, the way I use a drone now is more than enough. I feel like it's more than capable as it is right now. So I don't think really I need much more than the drones are already doing today. I can't imagine having much more than it's doing right now. Obviously, better color science for me is always a big win. More internal storage is another big thing. I love internal storage. It's super fast. So if they can do something like that, I would be very happy, and that would impress me enough. Weird how the flips come no problem. You know why? Because nobody wants the damn flip. Nobody wants a damn flip. Ain't nobody ordering a flip. Weird, but the flip come in no problem. Think about how many people ordered a flip. How many people ordered a DJI flip? Not many people ordered a DJI flip. That's why they're not getting seized. Even Customs knows that nobody wants a damn flip, so they're going to send them the flip because nobody wants the damn flip. Why aren't they getting seized? Because nobody wants a damn flip. Lon, damn. I don't even want to flip. Do we suspect an Action 6 to be released before the 360? I doubt that severely. I don't like the Action 5 Pro just released. This is still pretty fresh. I do not see an Action 6 launching anytime soon. This is still plenty. Like, the Action 5 Pro is still an amazing action camera. It is my go-to action camera. I've completely dumped GoPro entirely. Just because the Action 5 Pro has pretty much dominated, you know, what I need out of an action camera 100%. And it's reliable and intuitive. So, I mean, I just don't see very many people wanting to buy a GoPro at any point. I just think that's sort of silly. The Flip is a flop. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and I said it when I saw it, was that, like, if it had remote ID, it would have been less of a flop. It would have been much more capable. If the gimbal could have rotated vertically so you can still get 4K video in vertical, that would have been a huge deal. If there was a FPV mode that allowed you to fly it in sort of like an acro-like environment, the Flip would have been an amazing cinematic piece of equipment. But because it can't do those things, I feel like it is pretty limited. And I think that's something that they just missed on. Like, I think they're chasing what Hover is doing, and they don't need to chase what Hover is doing, because Hover is not even, the 00 Hover is not a competitor. It is not a competitor, and they did not need to create that product. But there will be people in the UK and overseas that will say, you know what, the Flip checks all the boxes that I need as a pilot, so they'll buy it. And I don't think the Flip is really designed for the US. I think it's more designed for Europe. So that's something to keep in mind. The Flip, give it a few months and it'll be chilling in the bargain bin next to the expired candy. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll add some cool updates to it that will make it much more usable. I mean, that's one good thing about DJI, right? They always add updates to these aircrafts that make them far more usable than they were when they first launched. So that is something that is thoughtful. I mean, Jesus, some guys are banging their wives before the placenta has been removed. Blonde, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? What does that have to do with the Flip, Lon? What did I just read? Why did I just read this, Lon? God. Are you putting the 04 Lite or 04 Pro on old frames? I am going 04 Pro all the way. I'm really struggling finding a frame that fits that camera. The 04 camera is so big. There are very limited cameras or very limited frames that do work with the 04. I typically, when I fly freestyle, I fly the Quadmilla frames. And right now I cannot put the 04 camera into my current Quadmilla frames. So I'm waiting till the new frames are released. But something that is going to happen here in the next few days is the Lunar New Year. And basically China is going to go dark for like at least 2 weeks solid. You're not going to hear shit from anybody overseas because of the Lunar New Year. So any frame manufacturers, any new releases, any shipments, anything like that coming out of China is basically going to go dormant for the next 2 weeks or so while the new year is happening. So if you're ordering something with 04, do it now so it gets shipped by tomorrow, because after this weekend, all that shit's going to go into effect and they are not working. So that's not going to happen. But I am waiting. I would like to either build an Apex frame or a Quadmilla frame with 04 Pro. The 04 Pro is just so freaking good. It's unbelievable. I'm so excited about the 04 Pro release. So when you go do a shoot, what's in your bag? Mavic Air 3. In my bag, Carolina, is the Mavic Air 3S. That is the drone I've been using for, I don't know, since I've had it since I think October. So I use the Air 3S. That's my go-to drone. My backup drone is the Mavic Air 3. And then my backup drone is the Mini 4 Pro. And then my backup drone would be the what the hell is it? The Exo Drone Americana. And then my backup drone to the Exo Drone Americana would be an Autel. And then my backup drone to the Autel would be the DJI Flip. That's the pecking order of my preference. Selling my Action 4 for the Action 5 Pro. Yeah, Juan, I'm telling you, you will not regret the Action 5 Pro. That built-in 48 gigs of onboard storage is just so good. it really is so good to have onboard storage. It's something that will change your entire mindset of an action camera to have onboard storage. It really does. Quadmilla 2.5. Yeah, so the Quadmilla 2.5, the DJI 25 supports the 04. And honestly, I think I may just build a 2.5-inch quad from Quadmilla, because with 04, and they have sort of that dead cat design, it would be pretty much a really badass cinematic little ripper at that size. I have a 2.5 inch now. It's good. It's not perfect, but it is good. It does weigh over 250 grams, but who cares? It's still pretty damn good. Yeah, the DJI 25. Yep, that's for the 04 Pro, but I really want a 5-inch for 04 Pro. I love the Quadmilla frames. I really do want that. How's the Mavic 3 Pro not on the list? Well, because I just don't use the Mavic 3 Pro because it doesn't do vertical shooting the way I want it to. You have to frame it and then crop it. I want my footage to come out already ready to go for vertical, so that's the reason why I discount the Mavic 3 Pro. And not to mention the color science from the wide-angle lens to the telephoto lens to the 2x lens. It's not the same. It's not the same color science, and I really pride color science above anything else. Let's see. Still debating on Mini 4 Pro, debating between the Air 3. Honestly, I would go Air 3. I feel like it's the better aircraft in almost all situations, in my opinion. Price-wise, they're pretty similar. Very similar, actually. Brian, I may have missed your question, Brian. Hey, Ken, why don't you have 51 drones on camera with you for some of these? That is an excellent question, Brian. Russ is such a busy individual. He also costs a lot of money. See, what you don't realize is Russ has a cost. If he makes a live appearance, it usually comes usually he bills by the hour. I think his average hourly cost is $175 per hour, which means the stream would have to gross at least $195 in super chats per stream for Russ to make an appearance. So yeah, it's one of those things. These celebrity types, you know how they are. Yeah, exactly. His agent screens his emails. You heard it right from him. I'd be eating ramen if I had Russ on my stream. Air 3, yes, I was flying. Got awesome video of the snow over Staten Island. Nice, man. Good stuff. Plus, the other nice thing about the Air 3 is it's just a lot more stable in the air. I feel like it just does better than the Mini 4. Mini 4 is great if you have to travel super light, or you're in a situation where, let's say you're traveling to Canada or something and you need a lightweight drone for whatever reason. That would be where I would take the Mini 4 Pro over an Air 3. But if you're staying stateside, the Air 3 is the best choice in my opinion. Or, you go Air 3S if you really want. Just ask EcoFlow for Russ's going rate. This has become a Russ roast. That's what we'll call it. When we get ready to roast Russ, we'll just call it the Russ roast. You look super bundled up, bro. It's like 70-something in Florida. Bullshit, it's 70-something. It's 38 degrees, man. It's 38 degrees. I'm over here looking like Marv from Home Alone. It's cold in this studio. It's 68 degrees now. It's gone down a whole freaking degree. It's cold. Give me that 70 degrees. Bite my ass. Mini 4 struggles in frigid temps and gets shaky video. Yeah, it does. It does struggle in colder temps. Vegas was 29 degrees overnight. Yeah, I mean, Vegas is a weird animal. I was out there one CES and it was freaking snowing in Vegas. I thought that was pretty wild. But Vegas cold is different. Like when you don't have any humidity, it's definitely a different cold. It definitely feels different than it does here in Florida. I don't know why that is, but it definitely feels very different. Certainly feels different. Water freezes at 68 in Florida. It doesn't freeze at 68 in Florida. I don't know. If we were up in the Panhandle, maybe a different story. Maybe a different story. I mean, it was a buddy of mine sent me a photo of his front porch. His car was completely covered, and he's in the Panhandle, which I would say is a pretty, it's usually pretty warm up there. So this is very abnormal for this time of year for sure. So end of the month, we are going to be giving away that 04 Lite air unit. So I've got 2 air units I'm going to be giving away. I've got a 04 Lite and I've got a 04 Pro that we're going to go ahead and give away. Hopefully by the end of the month, there will be some frames available. I did see Beta FPV has some of their smaller tiny whoops that are going to be running the 04 Lite. That honestly is another great option. Super lightweight drone that's going to be able to capture amazing video thanks to that 04 air unit. I'm really excited for that one. Really cannot wait for those guys to hit stateside. Yeah, the Florida Walrus, man, I haven't seen a Florida Walrus in a hot minute, to be honest with you. So that beach where the walrus usually lay, it got damaged in the hurricane, and none of the walrus have returned. They've all been gone. There's been no Florida walrus whatsoever on that beach at all, man. Sort of weird. So maybe by summertime, the Walleye will be back. We'll have to do another trip over there, see what we can find. They like that they like the south side shore of that island there. No Walleye there at all. If it hits Florida, if it hits 40 degrees in Florida, they put on winter storm alerts. No, I mean, they'll give us freeze alerts. Like we got freeze alerts tonight because it was 35 and people aren't equipped down here. You guys got to remember, we're not equipped for that. And some of these people, their pipes and shit will freeze. Like North Florida, it's like, it's a whole ordeal over there because we're not equipped. They can't even plow roads and stuff. So it's just not something we're equipped for. It's not normal. It's not normal weather. Thoughts on the A7S III for real estate photos? I mean, it's passable. I have friends that take photos with the A7S III. Just one thing to keep in mind is that it is a 12 megapixel sensor. You're not going to have the highest, most detailed resolution. But I mean, for real estate photos, they're usually uploaded to the MLS. I think you'll be perfectly fine. I mean, it's good. If you can only buy one camera and you need to have a good video camera and a camera that can take photos, the A7S III, if you can get a good deal on it, is the best way to go, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Panhandle did get rocked pretty good. Like everything I've seen from there is just wild. They can't even plow the roads. We don't have snow plows. We don't have snow plows here. So like, what the hell? You got to sort of wait till it melts. I mean, it looks cool. It is cool, but we don't have the infrastructure for this type of weather, which is wild. Can you imagine some of these old people driving in the snow like they could barely drive when it's raining, let alone when it's not raining. And then you throw a whole new element of snow in it's just a shit show. I really like the A7R III for photos also. Yeah, the A7R III is an amazing camera when it comes to photos. Super crisp. I think it's a little bit big. I still think it's big. I used to shoot on the Sony A1 for real estate photos, and I thought that was a great camera, except for the autofocus was just absolute trash. But I mean, I got some great photos out of that camera. B-Man still flying with potentially explosive 6S swollen. Probably. He's too cheap to buy new batteries, that guy. Yeah, I did see some pretty cool reels from people where palm trees are covered, like the Pensacola Beach, like it's just it's there's definitely some cool video. I was thinking about making a quick trip up there to be able to see the snow, but then I was like, I don't have time for that. It's 4 hours and 4 hours back, so who knows? Not really sure I have the time to do that. And by my luck, the shit will start melting by the time I get up there. That'd just be my luck. One of the old farts at our flying field got the bomb squad called on him. Wouldn't shock me. Phantom Flight 101. How's it going? Good to see you, man. I'm sending more bad driving old folks to Florida. Still way too many there. Here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot. We got a lot here. His battery fell out on the road around the corner from the field. Ah, man. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. But yeah, I mean, it can look like a bomb, right? It does. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many times TSA, even though I have TSA pre-check, they would stop me and they would swab my batteries down. Denver, every time I pass through Denver, they will swab the batteries down. It's religiously, they will swab it down. Hey, Lon, I already told Billy and Ken about your recent road shows leaking info. I'm just going to watch this one play out in the chat here. Road shows. I have not been partaking in any live streams, nor have I watched any. So I don't know. Eddie, you'll have to bring me up to speed, Eddie. You'll have to bring me up to speed. I will tell you this, though. I'm super excited. I am super, super excited. You know what I'm doing? Not next week, but let me see. I'm an old person here. In just a mere 14 days, I'm going to be setting sail. I'm going to go on my first cruise. I'm pretty excited. I have not taken like a formal vacation in probably 3 years. So I'm stoked. I'm going to go on a cruise. I'm going to drink all the booze. It's going to be pretty epic. I'm excited. Is Ken Herron still doing live shows anymore? I feel like I haven't heard from him. You know, Ken tried calling me the other day. I didn't get a chance to answer the phone because I was at Disney with the kids, but he tried calling me back to back. I don't know what was going on. I think it was Sunday. We were just leaving Orlando, and he had tried calling. I meant to call him back. I probably need to call him back. You're lucky you are a mod here, Fruit Cup. You guys want to play moderator roulette where we can revoke moderator rights for two people? It's like Russian roulette. We do rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and then we revoke the moderation rights of one, and then the other gets to ban that person. It's sort of like a Squid Game spin on things. I wonder if I can convince ICE that Eddie is from Venezuela. That's not true. And honestly, if you had him deported, you'd be doing him a favor right now. So there's that. And Eddie would agree with me. So you can't just deport Eddie. Not yet. Give it like 5 or 6 months. Maybe 5 months on the high end. 4 at best. I wanted to like Ken H show, but it's just gotten too freaking goofy. Yeah, I haven't seen him on live streams anymore. I think he's traveling so much. I don't think he's live streaming. I think he retired the live streams while he was traveling. I saw him in Las Vegas. We were in Vegas. I saw him there, and he wasn't streaming. He's doing a morning show on the road, but I don't think he's live streaming. You'll be accelerating my patriotic duties. Are the DJI Goggles 3 going to replace the Goggles 2 for you? Yeah, they already have. Like, I've been using the Goggles 3 since I've had them in hand. Like, I don't use the Goggles 2 at all. I am all in on the Goggles 3. I am all in on the Goggles 3, 100%. Man, it's Is it 60? Yeah, it's 60. It's 67 degrees in here now. It's actually gotten that much. I cannot believe how cold it has gotten. I just flew my Avata to in a airport approach zone and still needed to authorize in the app connected to the goggles. I did have Lance authorization there beforehand. I would say make sure that you are updated on the latest fly. You need to make sure you're updated on the latest. The DJI, the geo zones. It's a separate update. It's not actually an update in the drone. You have to actually update the fly safe from the application. If you already haven't done that, that could be why. But then again, I'm not 100% sure if the Avata is applicable for that. I haven't tested mine itself specifically. And I'm in a fly zone. Like this area here is technically a Class D airspace. I can get an authorization to fly here, but I will get a warning prompt no matter what. I will get a warning prompt. Any rumors on any new updated goggles? Nope, no rumors on any updated goggles. I don't see any new updated goggles till probably late summer, maybe next year. There's no need for new goggles. They just announced the goggles N3. The goggles 3 just came out like April, early May, like just before I went to NAB. So no, I don't see us seeing new goggles. I don't think they need new goggles yet. I'm interested in the Mobula 7 with the 04. Same. I'm really interested in that as well. Beta FPV is releasing one too. It's super small, but it should still have a 4S battery. It's like a Pico, but a smaller version of the Pico. I'm excited for that. I mean, 04 is opening a whole new world of possibilities as it pertains to FPV. I'm really excited about what 04 can do. The image quality is incredible. I mean, it's pretty much, in my opinion, right on par with the Action 5 Pro in many regards, in my opinion. Any rumors on any new Bamboo printers or other 3D printers? I haven't seen anything out of Bamboo's camp. Honestly, here's my honest-to-goodness thoughts when it comes to Bamboo. I think financially, the A1 debacle, that issue they had with the A1, the Bamboo A1 printers, I think that cost them a significant amount of money. And I think that is one of the reasons why we haven't seen a new printer out of them. Think about it. They released the X1, the X1 Carbon, then they released the P1P. They had they had a P1S, they had the A1 Mini, and then they released the A1. And shortly thereafter releasing the A1 had that issue with the heat beds. They had a massive recall, and you haven't heard anything about the A1 or anything else since that. You haven't heard anything out of Bamboo. So I don't think we're going to see a new printer yet. Maybe we'll see something in 2025 out of Bamboo. I really hope so. I really don't want to buy another printer manufacturer. Couple of things that we will need to see or something that they can do better is, number one, we need a better AMS. Number two, a larger printer would be amazing. Those are the two wish lists that I have: a larger printer and a better AMS for multicolor filament, and an AMS that can support TPU or softer materials. That's what I want to see. Do you think the Mini 5 Pro is coming out with a 1-inch CMOS sensor? It's too soon to tell. Like we're still in this early stage of 2025. It's too soon to tell. Anything mini related, I don't see coming until late summer. We would see rumors. We would see, like, Jasper Ellens, he's usually on it. Like, if there is something that hits the database or if there's a new product, he's usually tweeting about it super fast. So I would say if you're not on X, you're not following Jasper, you should be, because that's where you're going to see some of the latest things before it ever even hits the FCC or anything else. But the other thing to keep in mind, if some of these later releases impede on that area, that intersect where DJI is supposed to be evaluated by a security firm, we may be facing an FCC issue here. That's the other thing. So we start talking about DJI, they have to essentially undergo an evaluation from a government entity to determine whether or not they are safe for the airspace here from a security standpoint. Now, given the fact that TikTok just received a second life, hopefully, maybe DJI can strike a similar deal to maintain their status here in the United States. Hopefully they could. I mean, because honestly, we don't have very many options. And I just don't see that. If you ask me what is more detrimental to the United States, these drones or TikTok, these drones or TikTok, I would say TikTok every single time. But hopefully, with enough common sense and an agency that is willing to undergo that evaluation, we'll be able to, once and for all prove that they are safe to operate here and put this shit behind us. But I don't think it'll always go. I don't think it'll be that easy. I think there's still a large uphill battle. There are still people that are, advocating and pushing for this, the fairness. The biggest thing is they need to give them a fair chance. They can't just say, okay, we're not going to evaluate. No, they have to evaluate. They need to evaluate. If you're saying somebody has to evaluate it, then evaluate it. Do your due diligence as a government agency to determine whether or not this is actually a credible threat here in the United States, and then go from there. Because like I said, right now in the consumer space and the prosumer space, we have no actual options to replace these aircrafts here in the States, which sort of sucks. It really does suck. Yeah, 400 plus millimeter printer would be amazing, Tom. I don't know if we'll see it this year, but it would be amazing. Yep, Jasper Ellens, 27. Yep, that is the person that I would recommend following. If you're not already, I would follow him. Because if he starts tweeting out things, you know that there's some validity, and usually certain aspects are right around the corner once you start seeing that. Sometimes, depending on what's coming out. So we'll see. What are we at? We're at 9:40 here. So many politicians are scared of DJI. It's like the boogeyman. I mean, I think there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to politics. Misinformation tends to carry further, faster. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's multiple things as it pertains to DJI. I don't think DJI is as scary or as dangerous as people have claimed. But again, I'm not a security analyst, so I don't know what data they have. But again, this is where if you have people like myself or others that are using it, simplify that information, put it in a simplified manner, and you got to break it down, because somebody that's using a DJI product, they're going to want to know exactly why or what is so wrong with it and what they have to fear. And so far, none of the data or anything anybody show me would make me pause for concern at all whatsoever. Like, it's not even a concern in my mind. But then again, I don't have an affinity, for data that's, 3 or 4 years old. Do you keep in touch with Randall W? Any updates with Anzu? I think Anzu has been pursuing the European market. The last thing I saw from him was that they were going to be sold in the UK. So I haven't really touched base with him too much. But yeah, I do touch base with him periodically. We are friends, and I do talk to him from time to time. DJI's lawsuit with the DoD is still ongoing. Yes, it is still ongoing. Their initial prosecutor that they hired actually dropped out, so I don't know what's happening with that. I mean that lawsuit, it's sort of frivolous, and I don't know if anything will come from that, to be completely honest. I think it's one of those things where they're trying all avenues and seeing what sticks, and obviously they're upset. They have a lot of pride in their product. They believe in their product, and to have a government that is just spitting in the face of all the data that you provide them, or they can even look at themselves, is frustrating. So I understand their aggravation and frustration in the matter. So I do get that 100%. I wish we never got grouped in with the word drone. I mean, a drone is an object that that is an unmanned machine. So whether you have 4 props, you have 3 props, you have 8 props, that's a drone. If you're operating it and you're not, physically on board, that is technically a drone. Yeah, I mean, but Tom, the issue with that is even if they get off the blacklist and they get banned from, the FCC pushes a ban on them based upon this legislation that got pushed through. I mean, it's negated. So getting off the blacklist doesn't help the situation. It helps, but it doesn't help the situation. They need to be vetted by an agency that can go through and definitively prove that there is not an immediate risk or security concern at this immediate juncture. I'm not talking about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm talking about right now in DJI's current state. They need to evaluate it and say there is no immediate concern or cause for seizure or basically there's no reason why they still cannot operate here in the United States. That's what needs to be done. And so far nobody's really stepped up. So hopefully an agency steps up and takes on that task to do that. And then, we can hopefully eventually put this behind us. I'm optimistic that it will happen. I'm optimistic that we will get a fair shake. But we'll have to wait and see. We will have to see. Needs cybersecurity standards applied across all drones manufactured regardless of where they are made. I agree. I mean, all things need to have some sort of cybersecurity standards. You would think that would be a thing. And more so now with cars and all sorts of things being always connected to the internet, you would think we would have to have some sort of standards in place for all connected items. And I just don't see that. Any ETA on the beacon compatibility with the Mavic 4 Pro and maybe the Avata 2? Nope, no ETAs on that at all. Do you see new releases coming back to big box stores? As of this point, no. Only because there is still an all-out war on mass shipments. So, let's say if DJI brings in a pallet of drones. That pallet of drones has a great risk of being detained. And that detainment can take weeks, months, however long they want. Now, singular packages have a shelf life of detainment. And that shelf life is typically a net 30, which is 45 days. So 45 days of them detaining a shipment is all they can do to hold that shipment if they do not have a probable cause. So that's why DJI is still opting to do direct sales, and they are not in big box stores for new releases at the immediate moment. Hey, Chris, no snow here, man. No snow here whatsoever. Are DJI drones connected to the internet while flying? They are not connected to the internet while flying typically. However, they still require an FCC license in order to operate because they are using radio frequencies here in the United States. So that's where that catch-22 is. I mean, and it depends on who you ask, is if they're connected or not. I mean, I have not connected mine. The only time I've ever connected my drone when flying is when I did have to do a unlock. And now that they have remove the geofencing, so to speak, I no longer have to connect it to the internet to unlock my aircraft. At least on my Air 3S and Air 3, I no longer have to connect to the internet to do any sort of formal unlock, which is fantastic. But again, that's on those aircrafts. I can't speak for all aircrafts that DJI sells. Alrighty, I think that's going to do it for tonight's stream. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be back again next week. We'll do it same time, same place on Wednesday. We'll do next week, and then the week after that, Wednesday, we're not going to do a live stream because I'm going to be on a cruise. And but we will get back to a normal routine here of live streaming. Hopefully we'll have better news next week, and maybe we'll start bringing back guests as well. All right. I will see you next time. As always, stay original.
Maybe I'll just get out my head and focus on what I know's coming. Yeah. 'Cause I can't fall asleep at night without seeing my dreams. Delusionary reality, I'm somewhere in between. These voices in my head get loud and they keep telling me that I'm a fool for trusting in these wings. But maybe, baby, this what flying feels like. 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 Yeah. Maybe all my exes just drinking themselves crazy tonight. Maybe I should call and say, told you I'd be right. Wondering how long it was before you realized the biggest.
So great to be back. Oh, it's been so long. Office is just as great as it's ever been before. Finally, we're going to make live streams so great, so stupendous. It's going to be a really phenomenal, big, wonderful, all the superlatives, fantastic 2025